Okay, I gave you the many shapes assignment. Here is the assignment prompt that we're used to. But what I forgot to show you was more examples of things from last semester and what students did with this. So I will do that now. Around last semester, notice there are many ghosts being drawn. Last semester around fall, around Halloween time is when this was assigned. This is from a student in this class. Welcome friend, hold any key and press the mouse. So let's hold the key, press the mouse, and suddenly those random colors that we're been playing around with appears, and these many ghosts change colors and position. Very neat. Let's go see who else is here. Alexis is nice. Max is cool. Kara. So here are some more demos on what people did last semester with this assignment, many shapes. And let's see, this one's a fun one. Oh, let's click here. Most of these are in CodePen, although this assignment will work in GameLab if you want to stick with those blocks, if you want to stick with that kind of so this one's kind of neat. Now, circles at the base are a good old ellipse function, but then a really good use of color, opacity, and kind of would you say it's random? It's controlled chaos here on how they control the colors. Very neat. Also, many circles. This one took the spirit of my example. This is many cubes being drawn in 3D space. Let's see how many exactly. So this is the new part that we're going to learn. You might have found yourself in the last day copy and pasting a lot. We have a new keyword. This is called a while loop. It helps you repeat. And it saves you the time from copy and pasting to get these many shapes happening. So if you find yourself copy and pasting, you will be using this new keyword, this new idea called the loop. Other examples. This is, what is happening here? I must click something. Yes, if I click mouse pressed, no, it clears. Up arrow. So I press up, and if I click, it clears the screen. I think this is bubbles. Oh, it does it quite fast. Let me click and restart. So I'm going to tap it ever so slightly, the up arrow. Tap it again, and I think the shapes and the number of circles in whatever color doubles each time. So if I keep holding on to this bubble bath, so I get to the point where I'm in the several millions, and I already pressed it like 5 more times, and GameLab really doesn't like it, because I'm asking for way too many shapes. So we watch, we let it lag. When we get this new structure, it is quite often you will actually generate so many shapes that GameLab will, or Chrome, or Safari will actually crash. And I will show you some precautions to kind of prevent that from happening. Okay, here's a fun one. 3D shapes. This is many donuts. But the one drawback here is this student at the time used a lot of copy and pasting. So look at all these push and pops. Less so this while loop idea. Some other inspirational examples. This one's kind of nice. Cereal bowl. I thought the student was quite creative in drawing these ellipses to represent cereal in a certain order. And let's check if they actually used the loop. Yes, they drew loops to help them draw like the rows and the different columns here. And last one. Okay, so let me zoom in a lot. That's too much. So notice the very tiny circles. Each time I'm clicking, they double in size. Do they go to the second row? No? So how big's your canvas? Okay, so I'm out even more. Okay, I've reached the maximum amount of zoom, and I think it has stopped. So we have drawn, I think that's 1,000 circles. Yes. Oh, okay. Did I break it? Let's try this again. Okay, so I'm going to leave the canvas size the same. I'm going to zoom back. I hope CodePen doesn't crash. Because I was impatient. I clicked many times. Okay, but you see the idea. I might have just... okay, so it crashed. Careful with these loops. They are a very powerful tool, but also it can get out of hand very easily. So my first part is demoing this specific block in GameLab. Then I'll show you the equivalent in CodePen in case you want to do more, maybe explore last assignment, blending 3D in with this many shapes assignment. The new block you'll be working with is under Control, and it's called a while block or a while loop. We'll click and highlight this block, and let's click on some quick examples, and we'll build off of these. So here, let's see which one looks nice. I want to do something visual. They do something with a dice. That will do for now, but maybe we'll change it to modify circles. So I clicked on the while block. I borrowed some code from them to see how this works. I click run. It doesn't like it. It says, oops, we can't figure out what right is. Darn. Reset. Run. All right. So we'll scratch all this. Let's go with our favorite function. We're going to try to draw 100 ellipses without copying and pasting the ellipse function 100 times. So I'm looking for my favorite ellipse function. I'll put it here. And I go back to my blocks, so it's easier for you to see. There's an error. I didn't correct it. Ending bracket. Thank you, Jasper. Okay, so now I can go back to block mode. No, I can't. Draw, delete. I need an extra closing bracket down here. Okay, please convert back. What a pain. Okay, go back to square one. Here's my draw function. We're back in blocks. I'll zoom in slightly so you can see better. So first off, let's have this loop. The while block is now in. Then I go to drawing and I draw my favorite ellipse function. So in here, while loops build on what you worked with if statements. That was helping you reset. That was helping you determine whether the user clicked the mouse, pressed the key. It's that idea, but it gets repeated over and over again. So for this example, we will, let's say, use a variable, set it equal to 0, x, and there are 3 parts to the loop here. I'm just going to write them in and then show you what happens next. So right here, I dragged in 3 certain parts of this, of the loop. Notice at the top, we have something familiar. We have a variable. It's been declared and initialized to 0. That's your starting point at the very beginning. Notice that we start at 0. Inside the loop, notice this orange block. It has written x is less than 6. This is your condition. This is helps you know when to stop. When x gets less than 6, it keeps repeating until suddenly this becomes false. You've met your stopping point. X is greater than 6, and you will have drawn whatever code in here. It would have repeated said number of times. So this is like a start. This part's like a stop. And then this block over here is how you move through your loop. This is how you'll get it to repeat. X equals x plus 1. Sometimes we write x equals x plus plus. That idea, these 2 blocks are the same. But for now, I'm going to stick with this one, x equals x plus 1, so we see and not take any shortcuts just yet with this idea of progression or incrementing. So I run my code. You notice that the circle right here is being drawn in the same exact spot. I haven't changed any of my coordinates. Let me make it a bit more obvious that this shape is moving. Let's do instead 10 times x. So we should see 6 circles. Oh, too far off the screen. Let's try 50 instead. Run. Let's make my circle way smaller. I'm trying to get 6 circles to fit somewhat nicely on my screen. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can we do better? Maybe 70. We'll shift it over. Run. I start at 0. So on the screen right now are 6 circles. The first one's a little bit cut off, but notice that 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code got you 6 circles. And then I have you think to yourself, if I wanted to draw 100 circles, there's one change I need to do. Which part do you think I'll need to change to get 100 circles to appear? Think to yourself for a moment. And if you're thinking, let's change the stopping point. Let's change this to maybe 60. Let's see what happens. It's spread out to the extent that my circles don't fit anymore on this 400 by 400 canvas, so I'll make things really tiny, reset, and show you that 100 starts way over here, it repeats, it keeps going till it gets off the screen, and then it keeps repeating. So right now I've drawn about 60 of these tiny circles. I'm not yet satisfied. Perhaps we should use this to help repeat, and let's have a line of circles going up and down. Here's our ellipse. We'll have it right under. And if I want it to change according to the y-axis, let's do something like this. Uh-oh. So notice my change. I moved a very similar block from the argument, the number that controls the x position. I moved to the y position. Then I got some unintended output. I forgot to change the size of my circles. So there are 400 being repeated going up and down. That's what gets these arc-like shapes. So far, so good. Any questions? Let's have this be 50 instead. A little bit like that. Yeah? Now maybe the last part I'll show is through the code.org lessons, maybe you worked with random numbers. This would be a good case to help you maybe randomize, let's say the x-coordinate here. 0 to 100. Now, when you repeat, you get this smattering of circles in this location. Maybe we'll make this range a bit bigger. Reset. Bleh. So save yourself. If you find yourself copying and pasting to achieve the goals of this assignment, consider using this new construct called a while loop. Questions, comments? So fiddle around with this. In a couple minutes, I'll draw your attention